Peace and blessings, family. This is your boy Gerald. It is Monday, the 5th of June, 2017. How is everybody doing? Yes, you'll notice I sound a little groggy with my voice. Please bear with me. Um, last 2 days I've been actually ill. Go figure. The last video I put out, which I want to also throw a disclaimer out. I had to cut it short because I I had a person that does a housing situation, a housing association come, and it was time for them to do a termite check, and they were going to be kind of loud. Plus, I didn't want to break up that spiritual energy that was going on. So instead of being rude, I just cut it short. So I appreciate your patience on that. But I have a whole lot of validation because something occurred later on in that day. And I didn't get a chance to really go into it because it was about validation on something that occurred the day before, which brings me to this video today. Because I know that there are some people that you're trying to do your best and you feel that you are in a rebuild section of your life where what you thought was solid is not. And everything that was built upon it had to be restructured. And you may feel that you got the short end of the stick, but I'm here to tell you, nah, you didn't get the short end of the stick. You got all the dead weight taken from it. Some of you may have had a bout of what we call wearing rose-colored glasses, or the fact that you didn't see the warning signs or the red flags in your day-to-day. But that's okay, family, because just know this. What God has in store for you, where you're headed, it was nothing but purging. See, as I've always echoed, and I stand true to this, no one can live your life. Not everybody's going to know your middle name. Not everybody is going to know your story, nor have the right to walk with you. But there will be a select few that will earn that right. So it's very important, family, that you don't rush through your life. Embrace all that is being revealed so that you can make the calculated decisions needed to ensure that smile stays where it should be. Because you know what? Your life is priceless. I ain't got to tell you that. But in case you forgot that, I'm going to remind you of that. So let's go back. Let's go back to the last video that I was speaking upon to somebody. So I'm going to throw this disclaimer out because you're going to kind of hear it in my voice. It's kind of sound a little stuffy. But you know what? Within 48 hours, I got my validation. Oh, yes. I woke up this morning and realized that whatever had gained access to me caused me to drop 10 pounds like a like a like a storm out of nowhere. It just came, boom, attacked my immune system, had me on the shelf, but I prayed through it, and I'm on the backside ever so clear. But I already understand where that came from. Because see, this is what you don't know. See, 48 hours ago, well, 72 hours ago, I was out and about. And as I was minding my business, taking care of my responsibilities, I happened to notice at a traffic light, my discernment was on point as it always is, and I happened to look in the mirror, and I saw somebody that was connected to my life. However, I also saw that this person never saw the value of my life. So, as you hear people say, you can't go forward if you're always looking back, it was validation. Waiting for the light to turn, I knew within 15 seconds they'd already made contact and they had recognized who it was me. But that's neither here nor there. You wish them well, you keep it moving. But I knew from dealing with this person that it might as well, that moment might as well have been a Amber Alert, because I knew when the opportunity served them, oh, everybody and their mama was gonna know that they saw me. That's okay. That also validates how much of an impression that you have, especially when you're not there. And what is it? The conclusion is everybody wants what they don't have. You miss like a vacuum. When something's there and is removed for whatever reason, you feel its presence. So as I go about my business, I take a second to reflect on what's going on. Keep it moving. Wasn't even 24 hours later, family, I'm out and about. I'm getting ready to go to dinner. Had to roll up to the bank. And as I'm waiting to for my turn to come to go to the ATM, there are cars before me. That's fine. I'm waiting. I'm waiting for my time to pull up. And as I'm talking to my significant other about what had occurred the day before, I felt this sickening, kind of nauseating feeling kind of come over me, which kind of at first I didn't entertain it, but I knew that it was kind of looming and I didn't understand where it came from. As I turned, the car that's right in front of me, I happened to look forward as the car pulls up. And lo and behold, it's my ex. Without showing any emotional gestures, because that's a public access. Anybody can go anywhere. And the fact of the matter is, I'm looking at history before me. I allow this vehicle proper space. Plus, they're at the ATM. You don't want to be all up. You want to be respectful. Let them do what they do. But I knew within the first 10 seconds who that was. Validation would even hit home even more because I noticed in the passenger side that her mom was with her. So I smiled because I right then and there I realized where God had guided me from and placed me at. And here comes the irony. So as they pull up, before I see the arm extend itself out the driver's side window to hit the keypad, I saw a gesture in the rearview mirror. Now, mind you, I know who that is. And then all of a sudden, I see all this animation and hand gesturing. Now, meanwhile, you're at a drive-through ATM now, so you got people behind you, and you're in the mirror, rear view, and driver's side window, and all this activity when you should be focusing on your money and keeping it moving. And that moment that should have took no more than a couple minutes to do what you had to do and keep moving, it felt like it felt like 30 minutes. And then reluctancy of them pulling off and then slowly driving out the lane. I saw two things out of that moment. Number one, that feeling that I was feeling was the energy from my ex, that spirit. And that spirit was dark. And I didn't understand where it came from, but then when I realized where it came from, it made a whole lot of sense. And as I did what I had to do and drove off, I automatically went into prayer because I realized something that a lot of people take for granted. Because a lot of people think that because of a physical connection is broken, they a lot of times think that the spiritual one goes along with it. But a lot of times it doesn't because it's spiritual. The spirit does not gauge time like we do as human beings. And that's why you see a lot of people go through a phase in their life where you say they seem stuck or they are what a lot of the elders would say they would be pining. They would be pining over someone. They ain't pining over no one. That's that soul tie of that person's spirit still seeking connection to you. That's why it's very imperative and you must be very cautious what company you keep. Because what happens? You see this happen all the time. You see somebody, they get involved with somebody, and over a period of time, next thing you know, they start talking like that, like the other person. The mannerisms, the behaviors is of the other person. The dress is like the other person. And their decision making is of the other person because that's all spirit. And I'm a firm believer, family, that whoever has the dominant of the two spirits, the weaker will take on the traits of the dominant. I know some of y'all can relate to that because y'all know somebody or that may have happened to you. Some of y'all may be still living through that right now. There may be some choices that you have made, and you may justify it as, well, I didn't have this justification before, but it seems like when I took on their traits, it kind of protected me better. But in actuality, it didn't. It actually robbed you of your spiritual essence. But here's the thing that a lot of people overlook all the time. The one thing that people always tend to give a pass on is this. If it was meant to be your reality, you would still be there right now. But you never take in consideration that there's a process that just you have to purge from. There's a healing process that has to take place. Some people, depending on how the connection was forged, they don't see the things that are subtle, but they tend to feel the effects later on in life. You might see it in certain cycles and patterns, maybe certain types of people that you gravitate towards. How about those you don't? Especially if it's those that have your best interest. What I'm getting at is, family, is what you're witnessing is a spiritual attack. And trust and believe when I tell you this. Do you actually think that the devil wants you to become the person that you was destined to be the moment you took your first breath? You might be somebody right now, in your heart of hearts, that if you didn't get out of that situation, it was going to have some grave consequences. But all of a sudden, something occurred that you couldn't put your hands on, but it gave you safe passage instead. Let me tell you what that was. That was your anger. Because let me tell you, as arrogant as the devil is, just as conniving as his demons. And trust when I say this, demons got to stay employed, family, or they literally get fired. So they love when you are impulsive. They love when you allow an opening inside yourself that you can be taken advantage of. They love the fact when you turn around and say, the hell with it. Notice I said the key word, to hell with it. Because that's where they want you to go. The whole game plan is to distract you from you. So, to go back to that moment, when I saw my ex literally less than 6 feet in front of me, I mean, I could have just got out of my Jeep and just walked right up to the car if I wanted to. And for that person to have such a significance in my life. Now, mind you, this wasn't someone that you just was dating. This was the woman that I was going to marry. So everything about this woman's physical makeup, I knew. I studied everything about her. And that's something I will throw that out to you, queens and kings. If you are in a relationship, allow yourself to be vulnerable, because your mate should be a reflection of the best of you. But I'm going to tell you this, they should also remain vigilant for you without your permission. So guess what? They're one of, other than, first of all, your greatest lesson on this planet is learning your life. Your second greatest lesson is your mates. That's why it's very important to be yoked. Did you hear me? Your greatest lesson on this planet as a physical being, but you are a spiritual being first, is to learn you. Your second task is to learn your mate. So if you're in a relationship where, not to sound cynical, if you're in a relationship where it's physical, but there's no emotional, they're not going to be with you. They're just passing through. You might as well be married. You might as well be dating a little Dr. Pepper mascot. Passing through. You might as well, because at the end of the day, they're not going to be there when you need them. They're not. That's for somebody. Because I know some of y'all already know that because it looked good, it doesn't mean it is good. Who am I talking to? But let me go back to that point. Because the fact that all intentions with that bond was pure, I didn't have no ill will. And this woman took me through hell. The hardest thing that you're going to ever come in contact is to love someone that cannot love themselves. Doesn't matter what you bring to the table, financially, socially, physically. It matters not. It matters not. You might as well be talking, you might as well be giving yourself to someone that is comatose. Because until they find it in them to invest in them, they can never protect you. Who am I talking to? Now, I know for some of y'all, that's a bitter pill to swallow because the flyers that were given in the beginning of that connection with that person you knew or the person maybe in your life seem all sweet. But as time progressed, it's starting to become sour, maybe toxic. That's when you need to be prayed up and stay vigilant in what's best for yourself. Doesn't mean that you're being selfish. Actually, that means you're being selfless because you're giving yourself what you rightfully need. So guess what's going to happen? God's going to allow his angels to step in your behalf. And they're going to block things that you don't know. They're going to be pitfalls that have been placed strategically for your downfall that they're going to move out the way for you. It may be a block on your finances right now. You never went through that. Why? Because the person that you with. Who am I talking to? Ever since that person came into your life, you've gone through struggle and strife. You can't understand it. It's because what God has for you, where he's trying to take you, they haven't earned the right to be a part of that. But I know that's where the frustration may be. Because you say, well, Gerald, but that's what I want. But is that what you need? Only you can answer that question. But guess what? Base that on your self-worth. Base that on your mortality. Base that on your direction. Base that on your happiness. And if you constantly get the same answer, why won't you listen to it? Because your smile is priceless. There will never be another one just like your life. And trust and believe, there are countless people out there that are faking frauds They want you to think that life is great and they suffering in silence. So I took from that moment, I realized something that was very prolific as well. As my ex drove away and turned the corner, I realized something very prolific. I realized she still very much cared about me. Otherwise, logically, it would make no sense for you to carry on when that person, number one, it's not in your presence. Why would you do that? It makes no logical sense unless there was a trigger there. I know what that was. That trigger was what love looked like. And I say this with all humility. I'm one of the good ones, Queens. I put God first in everything I do. And in return, he blesses me. Gives me what I need, for he's my foundation and he is my rock. And in return, I I embrace humility at all times. So there was no ill will when I had that moment. It was none. Actually, I spent it and I said, well, you know what, Lord? I know at a minimum she's alive. I know at a minimum she must be doing okay because she didn't put on about 50 pounds. I know at a minimum that, see, when you know somebody, when you study someone, see, love makes you do things that you don't fully understand, but it makes sense in the intended time. You just got to know what you're looking at. Everything revealed itself when it did. Because people, we have habits that we do indirectly, and we might not take in consideration why we do it. And I realized, I said, wow, got a new car with the same color, the car that you chose, the color you chose, it's because you like drinking your wine. She wasn't a wine drinker to the last 2 years. And the type of wine was matched the color of the car. Now, for some people, maybe saying, well, you can't really say that, Gerald. I mean, maybe that was just the only thing available. Well, I'm going to tell you something. If anybody's bought a vehicle before, you know the color plays a significant part next to that what? Price tag, right? Exactly. And I realized there was some indirect, there was some indirect uh, examples going on. But that's okay. That's okay. Because a lot of people don't understand that when God wants to, he will put you where he needs you. Even when it seems like you're going back a step to set you up to go forward. Maybe there's that. See, look, think about it. Why do you think your progression might be a little slow right now? Because you keep overlooking that setback. You know that you need to heal from that. You need to process that. You need to purge that. You need to heal that. And until you have the courage to look at that, you can't go forward. And guess what? That's how soul ties work too. Because as long as you choose not to forgive, heal, you're stuck. You you're basically through the ethers allowing them to tag along. Why you think when you have those dreams, and all of a sudden out of the blue, boom, there they are? Because that's spiritual. But see, society wants everything in its power to convince you that spirituality has no bearing in this planet. That's what they want. That's why, I kind of mentioned it uh, almost 7, 8 months ago. I said, now y'all know the real meaning behind the song Blurred Lines because they want to blur what between right and wrong. They want to trick you to choose wrong. Can't do that, family. Can't do that. No matter how shiny the bell looks like, you can't do that. You got to stay true to what matters to you. So, what does that have to do with the fact that you got sick, Gerald? Let me tell you something. My health was A1, and it didn't start to turn until that evening, like a flu virus or something. All of a sudden, boom, had me. I knew exactly where that was coming from. I already knew that was her energy. Because you have some people, unfortunately, they have a mindset of if I can't have you, no one can have you, and they want you to do bad. They want you to suffer. They want your life to be stuck. Well, let me tell you something. You had a life before them, and you got a whole lot of life after them. But it matters not if God ain't in it. You feel me? God's got something for you when you position yourself to receive it. And trust and believe. There are going to be more people going to come back in your life in the intended moment and intended time. Why? Just to see if you'll backslide. Sometimes God will allow people to peek into your life so that you have peace of mind that they're okay too. But if it was meant, they would be a part of your reality, not a part of your past. So love yourself more, family, because nobody can love you more than you. God's praying for you. You know I am. I see your worth. And for that, it helps me discern mine. It wasn't your imagination. It was your blessing instead. Peace.